Good evening. I'd like to welcome all of you to the induction ceremonies for Hoover Junior High's chapter of the National Junior Honor Society. I'd like to acknowledge the attendance of some special guests this evening. We are pleased to welcome Superintendent Monticello, Assistant Superintendent Craig, Board Member Clyde Floyd, our Principal Mr. Clements, Assistant Principal Dr. Collette, former Honor Society President Kevin Reinhardt, and of course a special welcome to our new members and their families. Membership in the National Junior Honor Society is one of the highest honors that can be awarded to a secondary school student. It is the purpose of this society to give practical meaning to the goals of scholarship, service, leadership, character, and citizenship. Membership into Hoover's chapter of the National Junior Honor Society has been earned by effective demonstration of the 5 qualities held on high esteem by the society. In a few minutes, 5 of our members will review these qualities for the candidates. I would like at this time, however, to introduce Dr. Collette, who will explain the significance of the lighted candle you see on the table. Dr. Collette.
The lighted candle signifies knowledge, and as you know, that's what school is all about, partly. Knowledge is the acquisition of facts, and these students obviously have acquired many facts, but that's not really what it's all about. Knowing some facts is important, but using the facts is even more important, and that's called wisdom. Knowing that, as an example, that drugs are bad for your mind and your body, everyone knows that. But deciding to use that information and not use them in spite of what other people are doing and or are saying is wisdom. The students that you see before you tonight have made some wise decisions. I spend a great deal of my time every day as the chief disciplinarian talking to many students that have made a lot of poor decisions on a regular basis. Unfortunately, I don't get to see them very often in my office. I see them in the cafeteria around the school, but they've made a lot of good decisions. So I was coming through the library this afternoon thinking about what I would say tonight. I just happened to glance up and I found one of the books in our library, and as soon as I saw it, I said, that really speaks a great deal about what we're doing tonight in this ceremony and about wisdom. A very famous person was in this book named King Solomon. In the book of Proverbs, it says, the person who knows right from wrong and has good judgment and common sense is happier than the man who is immensely rich. For such wisdom is far more valuable than precious jewels. Determination to be wise is the first step toward becoming wise, and with your wisdom, develop common sense and good judgment. These students that you see tonight who are being honored are well on their way to making sound judgment and good decisions because of the facts and the wisdom that they have learned here at school. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Collette. Our members will now review the 5 qualities which the National Junior Honor Society represents. Scholarship.
Scholarship means a commitment to learning. A student is willing to spend hours in reading and study, knowing the lasting benefits of a cultivated mind. We should continue to learn even when formal education is ended, for education ends only with life. Knowledge is one great element in life which leads to the highest success, and it can be acquired in only one way, through diligence and effort. Learning furnishes the lamp by which we read the past and a light which illuminates the future. Candidates have the power to expand their world through opportunities inherent in scholarship.
Service.
My office is service. Service can be expressed in various ways. In the routine of the day's work, many opportunities arise to help others. Willingness to work without monetary compensation or without recognition for the benefit of those in need is the quality we seek in our membership. We are committed to the idea of volunteering our time and abilities to the creation of a better tomorrow.
Leadership.
Leadership should exert a wholesome influence on the school. In taking the initiative in class and school activities, the real leader strives to train and to aid others to attain the same objective. The price of leadership is sacrifice, the willingness to yield one's personal interests for the interests of others. A leader has self-confidence and will go forward when others hesitate. No matter what power and resources exist in a country, they are ineffectual without the guidance of a wise leader. Leadership is always needed and is thus a substantive charge to each of our members and to the candidates.
Character.
Character is the force within each individual that distinguishes that person from others. It gives each one individuality and personality. It is that without which no one can respect oneself nor hope to attain the respect of others. It is this force of character which guides one through life and, when once fully developed, grows steadily. Character is achieved and not received. It is the product of constant action, daily striving to make the right choice. The problem of character is the problem of self-control. We must be in reality what we wish to appear as to others. By demonstrating such qualities as reliability, honesty, and sincerity, we may hope to prove by example that we value character.
Citizenship.
Citizenship is vital to the strength of our country. It requires effort and commitment. Without it, there would be a lack of democracy. In the words of our late President, John F. Kennedy, ask not what your country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country. It is the willingness of each person to participate responsibly in the affairs that govern America.
At this point, will all National Junior Honor Society members please come on stage to join our new members as they repeat their pledge. Members, please stand as we say the pledge together. I pledge myself to uphold the high purposes of the National Junior Honor Society, to which I have been selected. I will be true to the purposes for which it stands. I will be loyal to my school. I will maintain and encourage high standards, scholarship, service, leadership, character, and citizenship. Thank you. You may be seated. I would like to introduce Mr. Hughes and Mr. Floyd, who will present our new members with their National Junior Honor Society membership certificate.
Assisting Mr. Floyd tonight will be Kevin Reinhardt, our past president from last year. The first member, Ken Acker. Karen Antal. Karen Backren. Jason Bartos. Jason Barnett. Matt Beckner. Joe Bellinger. Young Berry. Lisa Bowman. Reginald Brady. Gary Broughton. Kelly Calabrese. Jill Callahan. Michelle Christian. Cherie Clark. Jody Brzezinski. Kevin Daring. Christine DiCamillo. Chris Elders. Melissa Engelhart. Ed Evanoff. Andrea Fisher. Ryan Floyd. Brandon Frazier. Shelley Gabriel. Brian Hampton. Julia Harden. Joanna Havocan. Lisa Holmgren. Krista Hurley. Alana Jackson. Melissa Johnson. Sharita Jones. Holly Camerson. Jody LeBeau. Michael LeBeau. Scott Lang. Jenny Lisiski. Jennifer Logie. David Lowe. Sherry Markham. Lisa McIntosh. Cameron Morrow. Heather Nissen. Matt Osentowski. Tracy Peedle. Beth Petsich. Nicole Pondell. Cheryl Raynard. Shannon Rose. Sunshine Rudisil. Stacy Sharnagle. Debbie Schrader. Karen Smith. Tim Smith. Carolyn Smith. Stacy Sokol. Chris Sparks. Jim Steck. Ken Stringer. Chris Tucker. Chanel Vassar. Scott Warfield. Raymond Wright. And Jenny Zahn. Lastly, Denise Word.
I would like at this time to introduce our superintendent, Mr. Monticello.
Distinguished staff, Board Member Floyd, honored parents, and most of all, the new inductees to the National Junior Honor Society. I have witnessed something again tonight that I have never failed to see at this school. Two things. I think this is the largest group of inductees that I've ever seen in any junior high school. And secondly, if you weren't impressed with it, you should have been. The amount of dignity and poise that these student participants exhibited when they walked onto the stage. I don't know about you folks, but I showed Mr. Collette my hands before I came up here, and every time I come near a microphone, they just turn wet. And yet, these students, I'm sure that they had some trepidation about coming up on the stage and receiving their awards, but yet, and the president of society, marvelous how they conduct themselves. I'll be very brief, and I want to put my remarks into two categories, one for the parents, one set of remarks for the parents, and one set of remarks for the students. It was difficult for these students to get here, but they didn't get here by themselves, obviously. You parents, you friends all had a hand in having these students on stage today for many and varied reasons. Most of all, it's been my experience from my office and for my 30 years in the business of education that in order for a student to achieve the distinction that these students have achieved, they must have had something pretty special at home. And I mean that. In every instance that I've ever seen, with very few exceptions, it's always been a loving, caring parent that's been behind a student like this, like these fine students that are up here. So don't minimize your roles. You are extremely important. You are a team. They couldn't have gotten here without you. I thank you for what you've done. Inductees, these remarks will be toward you, and you'll have to excuse me if I turn my back to you just a little bit, because they are the most important ingredient here tonight. I don't know if you know it, but tonight, with your induction into the National Junior Honor Society, you have become part of the 10% of the top students in this country in the secondary schools. I mean that. That's a pretty elite group when you consider there are millions and millions of students. So you are in the top 10%. What's even more important is you didn't just get here because of grades. Our studies and our experience shows us that a person that's going to be successful in life is not just a good student, but they're also a participant. And a participant means involvement in everything that they do and everything that they try. You obviously have been involved because you've been selected for this honorable award. Last year, we graduated over 1,000 students from the Taylor schools. About, I'd say between 10 and 15% of those students received full four-year scholarships. What does that mean? We had students last year that went to Harvard, University of Michigan, Stanford, the top colleges in the country. Just as an example, if you were to pay tuition at Harvard, you'd pay $22,000 a year. My guess is, if everything turns out as it has in the past, and I have no reason to believe that it shouldn't, at least 50% of you sitting here tonight will receive a four-year, fully paid college scholarship. What that means, by the time you get to college, is it's probably going to be worth about $100,000. So there's something in it for you. You've also taken another step that I think is very important. In order to get here with the criteria that put you here, you had to be involved, you had to get good grades. And in this day and age, that's tough, because I think you know it as well as I do, there are a lot of students who would laugh at you or not think that you were part of the cool clique or whatever. But you did it, and you're here. And I'm telling you, I'm proud of you. And I really and truly hope that you maintain the courage and the poise that you've shown so far in getting here, because if you do, there's no end to where you can go. So, with that, I want to express my most sincere gratitude and my extreme sincerity in saying congratulations, you made it, and I am proud of you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Monticello. It is now my privilege to introduce the principal of Hoover Junior High, Mr. Clements.
Good evening. The National Honor Society began in 1921. It was a creation of the National Association of Secondary School Principals. The first society was a high school society. And then in 1929, the first junior high group was formed, and the first chapter was in Missouri. This first chapter in this organization was founded in part as a reaction against a fear that the schools of that day were becoming too sports-oriented and too activities-oriented. And so some of the early attempts were to set high academic standards. And part of the problem with just setting high academic standards was that the kids who belonged to that particular group became known as bookish, and some people thought of them as rather one-dimensional. In the high school vernacular, they would have said possibly nerds, okay? And so this group did not found its qualifications strictly upon scholarship, but instead, as you've heard this evening, upon service and leadership and character, and putting all those things together to make better citizens, which we term citizenship. What could be better than an educated electorate if democracy is to succeed? Well, it was a very, very successful organization. It grew by leaps and bounds, and the chapters in the United States today number in the thousands, and the members number in the hundreds of thousands. And so everyone recognizes the prestige of the National Honor Society. Now, the history of the Honor Society here at Hoover is shorter than that. It's not 50 years long. It's only 15 years long. But it harks back to 1974, when the first principal of this school, when it was founded, this organization was founded along with it. So from the very beginning, Hoover has had a national chapter. And it's had its fat years and its lean years. Last week, we were preparing for the yearbook this year. And one of the things that the yearbook is going to feature is that once you open the cover, the first picture is a picture of all of these kids, and they fill the whole page. You may have counted them up here. We have 83 members right now. And looking through the old yearbook, I found that in one of them, the picture of the Honor Society was taken on the lounge furniture in the library. They were that small. And I want to tell you just a little bit about the last 3 years, the period of Fred and Larry, Mr. Hughes and Mr. Floyd. In 1986, this particular group had 20-something members, and it had an academic requirement of 3.25 to become a member. When they were asked to take it over, they said, we want to do it, we want to get as many kids as possible in it, but we also want to actually raise the standard. So they raised the standard to 3.4. And the next year, 1987, they had 40 members. The next move was to raise the standard from 3.4 to 3.5. And the year after that, they had 60-something members. And this year, with that same high academic standard, they have 83 members. And I can only echo, not as eloquently, but only echo some of the comments that Mr. Monticello made concerning how much we think of you as parents and how much we think of you as the elite of our school. I want you to know that we care about you very, very deeply, and yet we not only care about you, but we lay out a challenge to you. We challenge you to become the doctors of tomorrow, the lawyers of tomorrow, the engineers, the politicians, the teachers, the people who will run America in the future. And we ask you not only to do that, but we ask you to do it better than we've been doing it. We ask you to dream great dreams, and we ask you to have the courage to continue with all the good things that you've been doing and to accomplish those particular dreams. You know, we've honored these kids not only tonight, but we also honored them this afternoon. We had a giant school assembly. We had over 250 kids who received awards, and of course this particular group were once again recognized as receiving the highest academic achievement awards. And a lot of them have 2 and 3 and 4 certificates, and they have the certificate they received tonight, and they have the little pins. And all of these things are simply tokens of how much we care for you and how important we think this is. But it's important to remember that they are tokens of it. They are only symbols of it. The most important thing is what you have really done, because what you have done is set an extremely high goal, and you've accomplished it. And no matter what happens, whether the paper turns yellow or whether the glitz comes off of the pen, the fact that you've accomplished this very, very significant thing will never, ever be taken from you. And so I congratulate you. I love you very much, and I wish you the very, very best. And we invite all of you to stay for refreshments, and we thank you for coming this evening.